One cat who put his name in the portal, or is going to put his name in the portal rather, Grayson McCall. Coastal Carolina quarterback has had a very, very successful career during his time in Conway. And 70% completion percentage, 78 touchdowns through the air, only 8 interceptions. He's run for another 16 throughout his career. The interesting part about Grayson McCall right now, per Auburn Live, our On3 Auburn fan site, he reached out to Auburn about some, potential to be a part of the program. Now, I don't know what that conversation entailed. All that we know, or all that's been reported rather, is that he reached out to Hugh Freeze. And that's very interesting because Hugh Freeze is in a position in year one where I personally believe he needs to revamp that program through the portal quick, fast, in a hurry. The whole Brian Harsin situation kind of sprung a leak in the program in terms of recruiting, because if I'm a kid at the high school level, you want me to commit to your school when it has been very public you've tried to get rid of that head coach, meaning the guy that I may commit to may not be there when I get to campus. Like, that's a very tough thing to ask of a high school recruit. So, needless to say, recruiting kind of went downhill. The personnel wasn't great in-house. It's not great in-house currently, so you need to revamp via the portal. So the conversation I want to have right now is, how would Grayson McCall be a fit at Auburn? The first thing that I'm looking at, the scheme. Because so much within the transfer portal, some of these guys that jump in the portal, the reason they're there in the first place is scheme. Hey, I wasn't in position to succeed at my previous school. Not the case for Grayson McCall, but I promise you, he's looking for a schematic fit wherever he ends up going next. Sounds like he believes there's a fit there with him and Hugh Freeze. Phil Montgomery is the recently hired offensive coordinator for Auburn, and his offense is very much based on pressure points for the defense. They want to spread you out similar to Tennessee. They want to put you all the way out to the sideline and make those run support defenders, whether it's a overhang linebacker or a safety rolled down, we want to make him choose. So why does that fit for Grayson McCall? Well, it doesn't require you to have some sort of cannon for an arm. What it does require you to do, though, be a good decision maker, which he is, evidently, only 8 interceptions, so a low turnover guy, and be able to put the ball where your receiver can get it. Just get it to our guys in space and let them work. 70% completion percentage. The ball don't really touch the ground when Grayson McCall is playing quarterback. So in that sense, it would be a very much, it's a marriage that makes sense to me, to not put it too complicated. I think it makes a lot of sense with his skill set. And also, Hugh Freeze has had a successful career to this point, in large part due to what your dual threat quarterbacks can do. Guys like Malik Willis, guys like Caden Salter this past year at Liberty. We're going to talk about that more in just a second, but I think just from a schematics perspective, Grayson McCall would fit the bill for you. Really quickly, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, we would love to have you here. The transfer portal, it shows no mercy. It's always popping off day and night. We got you covered here on the On3 YouTube channel, okay? So make sure you're locked in with us. We're going to take care of you. Also, follow me on the socials at JD Pickell on Twitter and on Instagram. A lot of fun interaction to be had there. Would love to have you at that party as well. Grayson McCall would also infuse a ton of experience into this offense. It's not a knock on Robbie Ashford. I think Robbie Ashford is a phenomenal talent. I would love for him to be able to sit behind someone like Grayson McCall who has some experience and learn from him. Because think about where you're at right now if you're Auburn. In some ways, it's kind of a delicate situation. To put a metaphor to it, the car isn't necessarily souped up. It's got a little bit of, some potential to have a flat tire now and then. It doesn't have a ton of speed. It doesn't have a ton of horsepower. So who do you want driving the car? Do you want someone who just got their license, like Robbie Ashford, who has 1 season under his belt? Or do you want someone with a little more experience driving a car, 30-plus games under their belt, has shown they're a good decision maker, has shown they're able to get the ball to the players to make, plays in space, who's a proven winner? I think that's Grayson McCall. And so with the nature of their roster right now, I think Grayson McCall could be kind of a steady hand for them, would add a lot of stability to that roster, a lot of stability to that offense. And to make matters even worse for Auburn right now, and why I think Grayson McCall would help you, he's a dual threat in every sense of the word. 9% of Auburn's offensive snaps this past year resulted in a sack. I don't think it's rocket science to tell you that's not very good. 112th in the country in terms of their sack ratio to their snaps, which is not something you get excited about. So, with that being said, a guy like Grayson McCall, who's experienced and revved up to the college game, that makes sense. But his dual threat ability, that would be, in a lot of ways, the great equalizer for this Auburn offense. The way I like to put it, I think that's the eraser. The offensive line, I think, is going to be able to take steps forward, whether it's developing the guys you have in-house or whether it's hitting the portal and getting some other guys that can play today. But having a guy who can make plays with his feet and evade pressure, and if your left guard misses a block, that's okay. Grayson McCall can get out of there, keep his eyes downfield, and throw a pass. That might kind of be the situation you have this coming year in Auburn, Alabama. And I think a great comp, if you want to look at places to compare to the sort of situation right now at Auburn, is LSU. Think about how consistently Jaden Daniels turned what would have been a 4-yard loss into a first down. That's what I think Grayson McCall could bring to the table. I'm not saying Grayson McCall is Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a superior athlete. But with what Grayson McCall brings from a dual threat perspective, mixed with his experience, that would give me a lot of excitement if I'm an Auburn fan. So we'll see what happens there. Again, nothing is confirmed. Nothing is being reported in terms of mutual interest. But Grayson McCall has reached out to Auburn, and I think it's a really good fit for reasons I already mentioned. So keep an eye on that. But Grayson McCall to Auburn has a nice ring to it. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.